Hi guys, today we're actually going to be talking about New York attorney hit with another lawsuit over targeting of pro-life groups. It's just a disgusting thing already. She should be held accountable for what she's doing. Also in the news, we have United States military forced to halt shipments to Biden's Gaza pier after it falls apart. Now, if you did not already know, Joe Biden already constructed a pier on Gaza because of the fact that Hamas keeps targeting the humanitarian aid that we keep giving over to their country. So what Joe Biden does is instead of just stopping this altogether and saying you get what you get, you don't get upset. And if you don't like what you're getting, you need to actually just keep your mouth shut, and not even just that, but you need to make sure that the government is actually taking care of its own people. Of course, Hamas does not do that because it's a terroristic government. Instead of us saying we're not going to give you any more food, we're just going to try to spend more and more and more and more and more money on policies that are just not going to work. Makes no sense whatsoever. With that being said, we're going to be digging into that and a lot more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Like I said at the beginning of this show, we're going to be deep diving into the New York Attorney General targeting pro-life groups. Now, if you did not already know, I don't know if you've been living under a rock, but New York does not appreciate if you are pro-life whatsoever. They actually hate your guts, and they want to see you fail as an organization. They want you to see you fail as a person. They want to see you fail as a citizen if you have pro-life ideologies. That's because of the fact that you do not go and agree with the policies that they push. So, of course, they like to have their agenda at the forefront of stuff when that is killing your child for some strange reason. Now, of course, this goes to the attorney. This goes throughout all of New York in this aspect because of the fact that New York just likes slaughtering children. So, this is a Daily Wire article. New York Attorney General Letitia James was hit with this month with another lawsuit over her targeting of pro-life organizations in the Empire State. James is being sued by the National Institute of Family and Life Advocacies, as well as the Gianna's House of Opinion Care Center. The pro-life group says that James is violating the First Amendment through her own lawsuits against 11 crisis pregnancy centers in Heartbeat International, accusing them of false advertising. The pro-life organizations are being represented by Alliance Defending Freedom. Of course, great organization. Quote, many women regret their abortions and seek help to stop the effects of criminal abortion drugs before taking the second drug into the abortion process. Taking supplemental progesterone at that time can often save the baby's life, said Alliance Defending Freedom legal counsel Gabriella. Quote, the New York Attorney General, however, is doing everything she can to deny women the freedom to make their choice. And of course, because of the fact that they just want you to kill your baby and that's it. Don't think about it, just kill your baby. Yes, you might agree or disagree with this, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. That's what they're saying. They're saying, well, you might agree with this decision later on in life, but you may not. But don't think about it now, think about it after. As long as you just do what's right now. Just kill the baby right now. Well, if you don't like it, kill it. That's what they say. And if you think about it 1 second, if you give 1 iota of a millisecond to the thought process of the opposite side, then you could switch your opinion from giving them thousands of your dollars, or the government giving thousands of, again, your dollars, to Planned Parenthood. If they're going to lose that money just because of the fact that there's one person outside praying, then they don't want you there whatsoever. So, Letitia James' suit goes after a dozen pro-life ministries over their support of the pro-abortion pill reversal protocol. The abortion pill reversal protocol is a method backed by pro-life organizations where a woman can take a prescribed dose of bioidentical progesterone to potentially reverse the effects of mifepristone to save the unborn child's life if she changes her mind at the last minute about going through with the abortion. The pro-life lawsuit, filed in United States District Court for the Western District of New York, begins by discussing the experience of a woman who was able to save her baby due to reversal protocol after she had initiated an abortion. Despite saying that she supports women's choice, the Attorney General seeks to deprive women who change their mind and want to continue their pregnancies, or who are coerced or tricked into a criminal abortion, of truthful information about progesterone treatment, a safe option that has been used by the Obstetrician gynecologist to help maintain pregnancies for decades, the lawsuit says. Okay, so if you take the abortion drug and then you change your mind, this bill can actually reverse that, and it's not going to kill your baby anymore. That's why they want this pill banned, because of the fact that it's giving moms the opportunity to think things true and through before actually it resulting in anything. Because you need to just relax for a second. You need to think about what you're doing. You need to realize the repercussions of this and realize that there's other things that you can do. You can have the baby and then give it up for an adoption if you really don't want the baby. There's so many people waiting on the adoption list. There's lists hundreds of people long to adopt people, to adopt children. So again, if you don't want this child and you are pregnant, have the baby and then give it up for adoption. That baby can respect you as a mom millions of more times than a person that's not even here to even appreciate that fact. You are a powerful woman if you give up your child in abortion, in an adoption center, and then allow that child to have a life on its own. That's the most selfless act you could do. One of the most selfless acts you could do. But the most selfless act you can possibly do is to keep the baby and take care of the baby. That's the most selfless act. The most selfish act is to have the baby inside of you, and the baby's growing inside of you, and all of a sudden you chop up its body parts into a million pieces and you slaughter it inside of your body. That's disgusting. And that's what abortion is. In a lot of places, do late-term abortion, which they have to rip out piece by piece each body part. They rip off the arm, they rip off the leg, they rip off the body. It's disgusting. You need to look it up. Things like of this nature happen in America. In New York, this happens. In California, this happens. It's disgusting. And yes, it's select places, but it should not be happening whatsoever. So, the suit asks for James to be barred from applying New York business law to target pro-life groups promoting the abortion pill reversal. New York is intentionally denying women the freedom to continue their pregnancies by censoring those who promote it. They are forcing women to follow through with an abortion, even if they don't want to, said Thomas Gleaner, president and founder of the National Institute of Family and Life Adversaries. How does it even remotely make sense to trust women with their medical decisions if you are actively trying to hide scientifically based information from them? It makes no sense, nor is it legal. Pregnancy centers around the country have come under fire from Democrat lawmakers and pro-abortion activists after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Of course, because of the fact that you're making your own decisions and the government's not making the decisions for you, the government hates you for it. That's not right. Moving to our next article, we actually have the Gaza pier that Joe Biden just so desperately wanted to build going to get destroyed because of the waves, because of Hamas. It's just destroyed now. So there's no possible way that we could actually get humanitarian aid onto this pier now because of the fact that it is destroyed. Disgusting. This is a Daily Wire article. The United States Department of Defense said on Tuesday that it had been forced to halt the use of President Joe Biden's $320 million pier in Gaza because it has fallen apart. Sabrina Sanai, the Pentagon's deputy press secretary, said in a press conference that the pier was damaged and sections of the pier needed rebuilding and repairing. That's crazy. $320 million for that rinky-dink little thing. She blamed the failure of controversial project on the perfect storm of high sea states. And the North American African weather system also came in at the same time. The United States military will remove the pier from Gaza and bring it to Israel so it can be fixed and reconstructed, which is expected to take at least a week. Okay, so why don't they repair it in Gaza? I'm just wondering this. Why don't they repair it in Gaza? Yeah, because it's not safe. Whoa, oh my goodness. So it's not safe for the government to be watching you build something because of the fact that the government will kill you. The government will kill you if it sees another army on its land. It's just disgusting, even though that army is trying to help them. Crazy. I believe most of our soldiers were able to maintain our vessel and still are currently on them. Sinai claims that the press conference, and within the next 24 to 48 hours, the Israel Navy will be helping push those vessels back, and hopefully they'll be able to be fully operational by then. Video emerged from the pier sinking on Monday as a man speaking Hebrew could be heard laughing at the Biden's pier sinking. It simply disconnected and practically swamped, the man said, according to ABC News. Efforts to recover the vessels are underway, with assistance from the Israel Navy. United States Central Command said in a statement, the IDF is supporting the recovery efforts near the pier. No United States personnel will enter Gaza. No injuries will be reported, and the pier remains fully functional. How does it remain fully functional if it is sunk? If it sank, how is it fully functional? It just doesn't make any sense. The pier has largely been a disappointment to the administration as it deployed 1,000 United States service members to open it. Yeah, disgusting. After a full week of operations, only 820 tons of aid was offloaded from the pier. Roughly 1/3 of that aid was hijacked and stolen. Yeah, even the pier is not even helping. 3 United States service members were injured last week during an operation supporting the transfer of humanitarian assistance into Gaza. This is why so many people are complaining, oh, there's not enough aid, there's not enough aid. Yeah, there's so much aid coming in, but we can't give it to them because Gaza and Hamas, the terrorists, like to kill all the military officers that are helping them. Crazy. On May 23rd, a United States service member sustained a non-combat related injury, according to USNS Bernavitz T. Akar. While in support of the humanitarian aid mission to Gaza, United States defense officials said the service member was transported to a medical facility and is in critical condition at the time. More information will be provided as soon as possible. The two other injured service members reportedly sustained minor injuries. Yeah, it's just crazy because terrorists do not care if you're helping them, does not care if you're not helping them. They just want to kill you. That's the goal. That's what they're going to do. With that being said, we're going to be digging into the headlines of the week. So digging right in, we actually have a Federalist article. We have Democrats Alito freakout is a false flag operation to take down the court. Of course, because they want to make sure that the people of America starts doubting the Supreme Court, doubt after doubt. And then what ends up happening is that the court has no trust anymore, and then they can just make up their own rules. That's what they want to do. So this is a Federalist article, like I said. First, it was Miss Alito's day-long flying of the upside-down American flag that Democrats said required Justice Samuel Alito to recuse himself from the pending Supreme Court cases involving January 6 defendants in Trump's appeal considering presidential immunity. Less than a week later, Democrats pronounced on the news that an appeal to heaven flag hung outside Alito's beach house. Clearly, the conservative justice must now recuse in high-profile cases. The corrupt media declared parroting their Democrat pals. On the contrary, there's no basis for Justice Alito to recuse, and the only thing clear is how insane the efforts are to target the Supreme Court justice have become. As I explained last week, based on years of researching the federal codes of conduct, Miss Alito flying the upside-down flag raised no ethical issues for Justice Alito. The code of conduct for justices, as the code of conduct that apply to federal justices and judicial employees, does not govern spouses, and a judge's only obligation is to disassociate himself or herself from his or her partner's political activities. Justice Alito did that when the story broke, making clear that he had nothing to do with the flag. Whether Justice or Miss Alito flew the appeal to heaven flag is currently unknown, but also completely irrelevant. Of course, it's completely irrelevant because if you're flying a flag outside the courtroom, it does not mean that you're not going to look at the evidence within the courtroom. If you have an appeal to heaven flag, that means you're a Christian. It means that you believe in heaven and stuff like that. But when you go into the courtroom, just because of that, you can't rule on any Christian or Catholic or any religion cases? That doesn't make any sense. No, you have an opinion on the matter. Just like with the stocks, you sold a lot of Bud Light stocks or Anheuser-Busch stocks as soon as the controversy started becoming a reality. And he started losing money on the stocks, so he sold a bunch of stocks. So what? That's a bad thing now? Selling stocks is a bad thing? Flying flags is a bad thing? No, it's just stupid. They're just trying whatever they can because they just want him off the Supreme Court anyway. So the smallest little thing, just get him off already. Like, no, that's not how this works here. Whether justice or, okay, so I already read that. Notwithstanding the concurred effort by politicians in the press to portray the flag as a symbol of Stop the Steal or January 6, 2021. That was nothing inherently political about displaying the Appeal to Heaven flag. Rather, the only thing intrinsically conveyed by the display of the flag, also known as the pine tree flag, is a patriotic message to the democratic reliance. This flag dates to revolutionary times, with the first 6 schooners commissioned by the Congressional Congress to intercept British ships sailing into Boston in October 1775, flying the flag on the order of George Washington's secretary. While some January 6 protesters, like some Black Lives Matter protesters who took over the streets of DC a few weeks earlier, displayed the pine tree flag, this is just no reasonable bias to suggest the display of an Appeal to Heaven flag represents support for some specific message, much less one that created a conflict related to January 6 and the presidential immunity appeals. The key word here is reasonable. As the express language of Canon 3B2, the Supreme Court's Code of Conduct provides that a justice should disqualify him or herself in the proceeding in which the justice impartially might reasonably be questioned. Okay, so just because of the fact that you have a partisanship and you agree with a certain aspect and a certain stance on things, and it can be reasonably questioned, then that's the code of conduct there. But it can't be reasonably questioned here if you're flying the flag upside down, which does not even make any sense, because if you do fly the flag upside down, what that means that you're just a MAGA supporter, make America great again. Get him off the Supreme Court. That doesn't make any sense. You're just flying a flag upside down. It means that you're in distress. And yes, he was in distress because people are targeting his home. Whoa. Not only that, but also the Appeal to Heaven flag. Whoa. So that means that you're appealing things to heaven. That means that you're kissing it up to God. If you're a Christian, like I said, then what? The repercussions of that flag is what? You believe in heaven and hell. So that's bad for our Supreme Court justices to be Christian and Catholic? No, that doesn't make any sense. It's not a bad thing. Let me see here. Where an unbiased and reasonable person who is aware of all relevant circumstances would doubt that the justice could fairly discharge his or her duties. No reasonable person would doubt Justice Alito's ability to fairly discharge his duties in ruling cases at issue because of flying the pine tree flag at his beach house. Given the historic origins of the flag and the patriotic purpose of the display of the Appeal to Heaven flag can connote, an argument of basis requires one to assume that banner meant something else, or something specifically connected to January 6 protesters or Trump. But the Supreme Court's ethical rules, specifically Canon 3B1, provide that a justice is presumed impartial. Thus, there is no case for recusal, at least no reasonable one. Democrats recognize this, just as they know their unjust media bullets will not prompt Alito's recusal, unlike politicians who capitalize when faced with false narratives to avoid a firestorm of bad press. This strategy fails when aimed at the lifetime appointees of the Supreme Court, which is precisely why our founders enshrined that protection in Article 3 of the Constitution. So I would love this standard to be held to their justices that they have in the Supreme Court, because we have people in the Supreme Court that they appointed that barely have an education, that should not even be there because of the fact that they don't even know what a woman is. So what are we sitting here saying? What? So if we hold the standard of partisanship to the Supreme Court justices, don't you think none of them will be there? Obviously, you have an opinion on things in your personal life. Of course, you're going to want to make trade deals in the stock market that make you and your family more money. Of course. But does that mean that you have a particular stance on things? No. Does it mean that you can't be looking at the facts of the case in the evidence in front of you instead of relying on what your perceived narrative is? No. But if it comes into fruition that you are actually using your politics to create a narrative for yourself and not looking at the facts of the case, then that would be something totally different. But we have no evidence whatsoever of this from Alito. So neither have we saw this with Kavanaugh, or neither have we saw this with any of the other Supreme Court justices. So again, if we see this partisanship taking place in our Supreme Court, we can ask, fact. But we don't see a partisanship on the aspect of the Supreme Court right now because of the fact that they are all looking at the facts. They're ruling on the cases as they come. So if you have an opinion on something, that's fine. You can have an opinion on things because this is not a perfect world. You cannot have a 100% nonpartisan world because what? If you see Alito go into Burger King, in the waiter or the hostess at the front of the counter asks him, "What do you want today?" He says, "Oh, I don't know. I don't have an opinion on this." And she's like, "Okay, well, do you want a cheeseburger? Do you want French fries? Do you want a chicken sandwich?" I don't have an opinion on it. I cannot choose which one I want because I'm supposed to be 100% nonpartisan. So you pick for me. You as a third party member, pick for me what I will eat today because I cannot have an opinion on what I would like to eat because I'm a Supreme Court justice. I can have an opinion on anything. What, is he supposed to have an advisor pick the stocks for him? But what if the advisor actually sells the stocks of Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch as the boycott is happening because the advisor for him that's managing his stocks knows about the upcoming boycott, which will cause the company millions of dollars or billions of dollars at this point. So wouldn't the advisor for him do the same exact thing when it comes to the stock selling? So it makes no sense. It's just a lose-lose situation, which has no grounding in reality and not backed by any evidence whatsoever. It's just highly disappointing and disgusting that they are doing this. So what's also disgusting and what is also frankly disturbing is Dr. Fauci lying in Congress time and time again, time after time after time after time in Congress about gain of function conduct. So this is a Project Veritas article. This is from a few months ago. I missed it, but this is very interesting. So DARPA, which is the biologic technologies office that is headed by Fauci, or used to be headed by Fauci. This organization was in Congress, and Jim Jordan asked repeatedly if gain of function research was used by the NIH, the National Institute of Health, or the national or any research at all. Dr. Fauci said no. So this is when we're going to see Dr. Fauci go back into Congress for contempt of lying in front of the congressional leaders that we have elected in the United States. So, military documents state that EcoHealth Alliance approached DARPA in March of 2018 seeking funding to conduct gain-of-function research that born coronaviruses. The proposal named Project Defuse was rejected by DARPA over safety concerns and the notion that it violates gains-of-function research moratorium. The main report regarding the EcoHealth Alliance proposal leaked on the internet a couple months ago. It has remained unverified until now. Project Veritas has obtained a separate report to the Inspector General of the Department of Defense, written by the United States Marine Corps Major Joseph Murphy, a former DARPA fellow. The proposal does not mention or assess potential risks of gain-of-function GOF research, a direct quote from DARPA rejection letter. The Project Veritas reached out to DARPA for comment regarding the hidden documents and spoke with the Chief of Communications, Jared Adams, who said, "It doesn't sound normal to me," when asked about the way that documents were buried. Of course, because of the fact that they're trying to cover their butt, and they don't want this getting out. Rand Paul and Jim Jordan both grilled Dr. Fauci, and Dr. Fauci just always ignored the question or acted like Rand Paul doesn't know anything. Dr. Rand Paul, he's a doctor. He knows what he's talking about. The documents in question stem from a report at the Defense Advanced Research Agency, better known as DARPA, which were hidden in the top-level secret shared drive. DARPA, an agency under the United States Department of Defense in charge of facilitating research and technology with potential military applications, Project Veritas has obtained a separate report to the Inspector General of Defense, the Department of Defense, written by United States Marine Corps Major Joseph Murphy, a former DARPA fellow. The report states that EcoHealth Alliance approached DARPA in March of 2018 seeking funding to conduct gain-of-function research of bat-borne coronaviruses. The proposal, named Project Defuse, was rejected by DARPA over safety concerns and the notion that it violates the basis of gain-of-function research moratorium. According to the documents, NIAID, under the direction of Dr. Fauci, went ahead with the research in Wuhan, China, and at several sites across the United States. Dr. Fauci has reportedly maintained under oath that the NIH and the NIAID have not been involved in gain-of-function research with EcoHealth Alliance program. But according to the documents obtained by Project Veritas, which outline why EcoHealth Alliance proposal was rejected, DARPA certainly classified the research as gain-of-function. The proposal does not mention or assess potential risks of gain-of-function research. A direct quote from the DARPA rejection letter. Major Murphy's report goes on to detail great concern over COVID-19 gain-of-function program, the concealment of documents, the suppression of potential creatives like ivermectin and hydrochloroquine, and the mRNA vaccines. Project Veritas reached out to DARPA for comment regarding the hidden documents and spoke with the chief of communications, Jared Adams, who said, "It doesn't sound normal to me," when asked about the way that the documents were shared in secrecy. If something resides in a classified setting, then it should be approximately marked. Adams said, "I'm not at all familiar with the unmarked documents that reside in the classified space, no." In a video breaking the story published on Monday night, Project Veritas CEO James O'Keefe asked a fundamental question to DARPA. Who at DARPA made the decision to bury the original report? They could have raised red flags to the Pentagon, the White House, or Congress, which may have prevented this entire pandemic that led to deaths of 5.4 million people worldwide and caused much pain and suffering to many millions more. Okay, so I don't fully agree with this because of the fact that there's some information that we cannot say on YouTube, so I will not say that, but I'm just going to say that I disagree. Dr. Anthony Fauci has not yet responded to a request to comment on the story, and instead he decided to retire, so that's great. So, of course, Dr. Fauci does not want to answer for any of this. Of course, Project Veritas is awesome for actually revealing this, and Dr. Fauci needs to go back into Congress so we can see and hear. We can see his awesome face, most handsome man alive, according to some articles, I guess. And then we can also hear his awesome voice, in his accent. Dr. Fauci. So, we will be hearing a lot from him in the coming months because he will be going back to Congress. And he will be getting grilled from my favorite congressman. With that being said, though, of course, we had things happening in China. We had laboratories in China that we built. We have laboratories in Ukraine that we built, stuff like that. We already covered all of this. But the thing in this aspect is that these laboratories should not be in America, and the people in America do not want these laboratories to be made in America or to be researching viruses in America because of the potential of an outbreak. So that's why we say, no, we're not going to have it here. We're not going to have it in our communities. And then they ship it off overseas. They have it in Ukraine. They have them in China, stuff like that. And then stuff like this happens where a potential virus gets leaked and then people start getting sick. And then they use this as an excuse for lockdowns and stuff like that. And then and then everybody gets scared. And then they have numbers on the TV 24/7 to scare all the older population. So then the older population starts yelling at the younger generation for not wearing the certain PPE, which is a personal protective equipment, stuff like that. It's just disgusting. So I don't need to rehash that. Nobody wants to talk about that, but it's just a disgusting time. And Dr. Fauci needs to go back to Congress because he has lied countless times. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into the media's takes.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
So starting off with a CNN article, we actually have Judgment Day looms for Donald Trump in New York. Judgment Day. It's just, they're overhyping this court case. Nothing's going to result from it. It's just so, knock on wood, hopefully. For the most part, I really doubt that anything's going to happen from this court case. And it's just hilarious to see that the media is spending so much time on this. It's just so apparent to me that the people that they have just keep failing them every single time. They wanted Michael Cohen to actually testify against Trump. Michael Cohen goes and says, actually, I stole from the Trump administration. And they're like, oh, stop it. Stop talking. And then they're like, okay, well, let's bring out her. Oh, he had sex with you in 20. And then she's like, I actually just wanted the money and I'll buy a penthouse for the MSNBC reporter that Rachel Maddow. I'm gonna buy a penthouse for her with the money that I'm gonna get. And I actually what happened there is that he was in a robe and it was nice and sexy and stuff like that. It's just she's going crazy on the court stand live. And then the judge is like, stop talking. Just stop talking. And then they're like, oh, well, you go on the stand. It's just like babies on the stand. It's just a clown show. And then the media is just acting like this is just going normal. This is going great, guys. They have a panel of 30 people on there. So what did you hear? Well, I heard Trump breathe. Well, that means that he's guilty. So, of course, these people are just going crazy because they want the clicks, they want the money, they want the viewership again because they lost the viewership ever since Trump got out of the White House. So many media organizations had to go bankrupt because it was not enough reporting because just people stopped caring. All these organizations were founded just on the basis of reporting on Trump, and as soon as Trump's not in the media every single day, they have no way of making money, so they go bankrupt. So it's great seeing these companies go bankrupt because of the fact that they're just barely even companies anyway. They don't report on actual news, just like how Media Matters actually is firing a bunch of people because they cannot make enough money to report on the stuff that nobody actually cares about. So it's just great to see all this. So with that being said, let's dig into the CNN article. Donald Trump, who built a methodic as a brain epidome of power, has never been more powerless to dictate his own fate. Okay, so whenever you're in the court system, you're never powerful to dictate your own fate. So what does that mean exactly? It just does not even make any sense. His reputation, future, and even perhaps the White House and his, oh my God, perhaps the White House destiny will be on Wednesday, be placed in the hands of 12 citizens. They love the power. They're like, oh my God, Trump does not have power. We have the power. And they're just enjoying this so much. Proving that not even once, even possibly future commanders in chief are above the law. No, now they are above the law. These people that are in charge of the court case, the judge, all of these people, they just love the power that they're getting. They're like, we took the power away from Trump. We have the power now. Oh, Trump is just a power-hungry tyrant. And then they're the power-hungry tyrants. They're the people that sit here and say, no, our policies are better than your policies because we implemented them. Okay, and then we say that you're being a dictator. Oh, you're passing your laws and stuff, and we don't get to pass any laws. Oh, okay. And like, I don't see the big deal in that. So I don't know. It's the rules for thee and not for me. That's exactly what happens. 7 men and 5 women jurors will retire for deliberations on Trump's 6-week hush money trial after Judge Juran Merchan instructs them on the law and their duties. No jury in America has faced such a task, deciding whether a former president and presumptive majority party nominee will be convicted of a crime. Yes, and this is not a good thing. They're saying, oh, well, this is actually bad on Trump. No, this is bad on you. You guys that are prosecuting a former president of the United States. It's not on Trump. It's on the court for actually prosecuting this, even though we had a system in place or a not written rule that you don't prosecute your political rivals because of the fact that it's your political rival. So you don't want to look like a dictator that's seizing power away just because of the fact that you want to prosecute somebody. Just like Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton had so much information on those drives, and then she used the bleach bit to wipe the drives clean, and then she set fire to the drives, and then everybody's like, it's okay. And then Trump's like, well, you're going to be prosecuted. And she's like, oh no. And then he didn't prosecute her because it was an unwritten rule that you don't prosecute your political rivals. But of course, once he gets in, that Pandora's box has been opened, and it's very hard to close that. Just letting you guys know. I said this at the beginning of this trial. Trump is not going to go easy on you guys now that you open the Pandora's box. So, moving on to the next article, we actually have an MSNBC article. We have why Trump is hobnocking with rappers and facing gang-related charges, which is just because of the fact that he got an endorsement from a rapper. So now he's being stereotypical. Why did you team up with a rapper and not somebody else? Well, because the rapper wanted to endorse him. Whoa, this is like common sense here. If somebody endorses you, it doesn't matter who they are. It's an endorsement. It's a rapper endorsing you. So what is that supposed to mean? What? It's supposed to mean like, why are you being stereotypical? What? Just because he's black and he's a rapper? No, because he said that he endorsed Trump. Trump will accept the endorsement. Why not? That has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with anything else. As the New York Times reports, in recent days, Trump has sought to conspiratorially affiliate with people accused of crimes or even convicted of them. At the Bronx rally on Thursday, Trump spoke alongside rappers Chef G and Sleepy Hollow, who are facing counts of conspiracy to commit murder and weapons presentation. Okay, so every single rapper is accused of that. So what is your point exactly? Your point exactly is what? You can't team up with any rappers now? If a rapper wants to endorse Trump, a rapper is endorsing Trump. What? Just because if this same exact two rappers endorsed Joe Biden, they would not pay attention to the accused crimes that these rappers commit, because every single rapper commits a crime. Every single one. That's the point of rapping. It's like you cannot be a rapper if you don't commit crimes. It's just the way that it is. It's the way that it is. It's just the thought process behind it. It's just what you rap about. It's what your daily life is. It's just what the rapping is. So it's like you are seeming very like a boomer complaining about this. That's not good. That's not the position you're going to want to take. MSNBC, you've fallen. Moving on to actually journalism here, we have the Daily Wire article, trans identifying woman on testosterone suffering menopause symptoms in 20s. Yeah, that's crazy. Trans identifying woman, which is a biological man, or no, trans identifying woman. So that means a biological woman who identify as man, it's just too confusing here, are suffering menopausal symptoms after taking testosterone, a new study shows. Symptoms like incontinence, sexual dysfunction, and even bedwetting were found among women in their 20s who tried to medically transition with cross-sex hormones, according to the study published last month in the International Urology Journal and led by researchers at the Federal University of Pernambuco in Brazil. The researchers looked at 68 trans-identifying women who were taking testosterone. The women were as young as 18, but had an average age of 28. The study found that more than 94% of trans-identifying women experienced some type of pelvic floor dysfunction. About 87% experienced urinary symptoms such as incontinence, frequent bathroom visits, including during the night and bedwetting. Women taking testosterone were about 3 times more likely to suffer from urinary incontinence or urine accidentally leaking than women not on the drug. About 25% of trans-identifying women had the symptom compared to 8% of their other women, I mean. The study found about 74% of women had bowel issues such as constipation or being unable to hold a stool or flatulence. Other symptoms include burning sensations and difficulty urinating and affecting. Meanwhile, more than half of women, 53%, experienced sexual dysfunction, including nearly half had an orgasm disorder, and a quarter who suffered from painful sexual intercourse. Yeah, of course. Because of the fact that these are drugs that you should not be taking that are going to ruin your body forever. You're ruining the body that you have because of the fact that you want to be somebody that you're not. It's not a good thing. This is not a good drug to be taking because it's altering your genes. It's altering your chemistry inside of your body, and it's making everything wonky. So your body's like, what the hell is going on here? And then it like goes through menopause, and then it goes through this, and it's going through that. It's ruining your body. Stop taking these drugs. These doctors should be ashamed of themselves for pushing a drug that's going to be dangerous to them. That's like 74% of women that are on this drug are suffering because of it. So that's not good. Moving into the next article, we actually have majority of Democrats approve of replacing Biden with new candidate. Poll finds. So the majority of Democrats approve of replacing Biden with another candidate ahead of the 2024 presidential election. A recent poll found. Ramadhan poll of 1,113 likely voters, which was conducted from May 20th to the 22nd, found that 54% of Democrats think that it is acceptable for another candidate to replace Biden as the Democratic nominee. Just under half of all likely voters, 49%, say that they approve of Democrats swapping Biden out for another candidate, 43% of Republicans agreeing. Why not 100% of Republicans switch out the Democratic, switch out Joe Biden for somebody else? But then if you sit here as a Republican and say that, then it could be like, okay, well, you want somebody that's better than Joe Biden, so you want Trump to lose. So I can see why you would want Joe Biden to be there, so we can stumble and jumble all throughout the debate process, and it'll be a comedy. And then Trump is just going to power through all the debates. Again, I'm just so excited for the debate because it's going to be such an interesting thing seeing. I can't. Oh my God, this is going to be so interesting. Like I said, I'm going to be live streaming this live on YouTube, and I'm going to be live streaming it on X at the same exact time. So Democrats were also asked whether they thought several different candidates would be better candidates than Biden. Of the respondents, 17% said that Vice President Kamala Harris would be better candidate than Biden, while 21% and 11% said the same about former First Lady Michelle Obama and former candidate Hillary Clinton, respectively. Just 8% said that California Governor Gavin Newsom, would be better candidate, while another 5% pointed to Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. None of them won out with 31%. The poll figures come as support for Biden in the November matchup against former President Donald Trump appears to be waning. One recent poll found that Trump holds a lead over Biden in 5 of the 7 crucial swing states and a tie in Nevada, with only one swing state, Michigan, currently supporting Biden by a slim 1-point margin, which could be the margin of error here. An additional poll found that Americans trust Trump more than Biden when it comes to handling immigration, crime, and the economy. Yeah, because we can see what happened to the economy ever since Trump left office. Joe Biden ruined the economy that Trump gave him, and we can see this clear as day. With that being said, we have a Federalist article. Democrats wanted an early debate so they'll have plenty of time to dump Biden. So I really hope so, but it's going to be very interesting to see this debate. Oh, I just can't. It's going to be so funny. I can't. Donald Trump and Joe Biden are set to make history again by squaring off in the earliest general election debate in history on June 27. This matchup will force the opponents to face each other before they have even clinched their party's official nominations at their respective conventions. The reason is obvious. The Democrats will have plenty of time to replace Biden as the nominee when he inevitably stumbles through the first debate. People like pollster Nate Silver are starting to call for Biden to step aside. Despite many commentators still saying that there's a possibility, however, both Democratic nominee committee DNC rules and state laws have a plain and simple path to oust Biden. State and territory delegates select the presidential nominee for each party, with a certain number of delegates allotted per state. Under DNC rules, there are 2 types, 1 pledged and 2 unpledged, or automatic delegates. Contrary with their titles suggest, the classifications matter little. Unpledged delegates may vote for whomever at the convention, but pledged delegates are free to do the same under DNC's call for the 2024 convention, Article 9F3D. Despite the outcome of the state primary elections, all delegates of the National Convention pledged to the presidential candidate shall, in all good conscience, reflect the settlements of those who elected them. Contrary to oft-repeated dogma, no DNC rule mandates that the delegates are bound to vote for a particular candidate. So, of course, Joe Biden is enjoying this because of the fact that the delegates are voting on that day of the convention, and not because of the fact that there's like an automatic and he just gets whatever, which would be better for Joe Biden though if he got the automatic delegates. But at the same time, the RNC, or the DNC I should say, the Democratic National Convention, wants to actually see what the people want and what the people don't want live. So that's probably what they're doing, so they can set this up to potentially replace Joe Biden in the future if they see that there's not enough support going on for him. Before the convention, the Democratic Party would typically formalize its presidential nominee at its convention. Although, due to reflect with Ohio ballot deadlines, the party announced plans to vertically nominate Biden. No dates have been set for the virtual roll call, but Ohio's deadline is August 7, more than a month after the debate. In what typically happens at the convention, the permanent chair receives nominations positions and holds a vote once all are received. Nomination requests for the candidate are made in writing and could be submitted up to the day before the vote. To become a candidate of the convention, one only must present petitions signed by at least 300 delegates, no more than 50 from any one state. With an estimated 4,672 delegates, it takes less than 7% of those to sign a candidate's petition to be certified. Yeah. And of course, they're sitting here. There's so many delegates. They need only 300 delegates, but there's 4,672 delegates. Yeah. So of course, it takes less than 7% of those to get a candidate's petition to be certified, because they know that Joe Biden might not get all those delegates. So they're hoping that Joe Biden's going to get that many delegates. Of course, you only need 7%. Of course, Joe Biden's going to make it, But if they rose the bar even higher, then Joe Biden might have a little bit of trouble actually getting the amount that he actually needs to be the Democratic nominee. So that's why the bar is set so low for Joe Biden, because they know that there's not a lot of support for him. Just look at the economy, look at the state of the world, look at everything in America. He destroyed everything. Everything's on fire. So he does not have a lot of support in the backing behind him. And it's for good reason. So with that being said, we're going to sum up this episode here. If you did like this episode and you do want to see more, please like and subscribe down below, because I do post new episodes of my show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.